get my jacket on,
for you're only half away.
hand me now my cap and shoes.
Hurry, there's no time to lose. Then let's share to God on high, Noel, Noel. Master Joseph, now good day. You are very welcome here. But whatever made you stay in a stable so cold and drear?
Peter, light the fire, I beg.
Margaret, did you bring the eggs? Then let's turn to God on high, Noel, Noel, Waters running well, and the stables filled with cheer. See the blessed child awaits, many smiles to find us here. Take the work and we'll sing. Yes, let us all begin, singing out to God our high, Noel, Sing
Finally, we planned something a bit different this year because we've had requests, especially from Tony. We will sing when we get together for the photo. After Tony finishes her comments, which she has some very interesting things about news from Wright State and so on. We have distributed sheet music. Did everybody get sheet music and the lyrics of Evening Prayer? I hope you got it. If anybody doesn't have them, we've got a few more. So, I'm pleased once again to introduce our speaker, Tony Vandenbos. Tony has become a regular, and I consider her an honorary member of the Inland Children's Chorus. Tony is the preservation manager for Wright State University Special Collections, and she will have some exciting news for us. Anyway, thank you especially, Tony, again, for taking time out of your busy schedule to help us celebrate our history and take such good care of our collection.
Thank you, Jerry. I wouldn't miss this. This is so exciting. Thank you for making me an honorary member. That really makes my whole day. And
I'm sorry you don't have a certificate, though.
well, I really appreciate
We'll work on
it.
that. We'll work on a certificate.
It's going to take just a minute for the slideshow to come up here. But in the meantime, I'm getting it's just so great to be back with you again this year to celebrate the legacy of the Inland Children's Chorus and to share some of the exciting things that are happening in the Special Collections and Archives Department at Wright State University. I'm really excited to share some good things that are happening. Your collection, the Inland Children's Chorus Collection, is a shining example of creativity and innovation living on through the original materials you, the members of the chorus, have donated over the past several years, some of which were on exhibit earlier today. The stories told through these historical materials inspire the future, proving that the opportunity to participate in the arts can have a powerful impact on the lives of youth as they form their futures. And that same opportunity can have a lasting legacy in the identity of a community. Lisa Powell's article in the Dayton Daily News recognizes the significance of the chorus to Dayton, writing that chorus concerts were a point of pride for the Dayton community for more than 3 decades. The young voices inspired others during World War II, rang in the holidays at Christmas, and awakened spirits at the annual spring concert. Your voices are continuing to awaken spirits as the music and the history behind the music lives on through the archival collection at Wright State and the inlandchorus.com website. I, for one, am very excited to hear you all lift your voices together today after this presentation. While I can't sing, I am excited to share with you information about the archives, its resources and activities, as well as some of the opportunities that the archives have had this past year and ones that we are working on for the future. In particular, a new home for the archives on campus. The Special Collections and Archives Department began nearly 50 years ago and has grown significantly over the years, both in collections and in programming. We currently have 5 professional staff, a graduate assistant and 4 undergraduate student assistants, plus an intern. We also have 5 community volunteers who do a great job for us. Our collections focus on 3 distinct areas: aviation history, covering all time periods and geographic areas, local and regional history of the Miami Valley, and Wright State University history as the official repository of university records. Our reading room, shown here, contains over 20,000 volumes. These volumes include over 16,000 books and journals on aviation history from a number of countries in different languages, dating from the 18th century up through today. Our local and regional history books and journals include family histories, county histories, atlases, city directories, and a wide variety of publications on state and local history. Our collections now total over 16,000 linear feet of materials. These collections include manuscripts, which are personal papers and records of businesses and organizations. It also includes university records and local government records for our 11-county area. These local government records contain many resources for genealogists, such as birth, death, and marriage records. Across all of these collections are many different interesting formats to experience, such as letters, diaries, scrapbooks, and photo albums, maps and architectural drawings, films, audio and video formats, and electronic records. Special Collections and Archives is recognized as one of the premier aviation history archives in the United States. The Wright Brothers collection at Wright State is the largest in the world and is the foundation for all the other aviation history collections in our holdings. It includes over 4,000 original photographs, documents, publications, including their personal library, albums, medals and awards, family letters, diaries, and personal correspondence. Our other aviation collections cover all aspects of aviation history, from kites to the space age. They include many collections documenting aviation art, aviation business, aerospace medicine, and human factors engineering, to name a few. Our local and regional history collections cover a wide variety of topics, such as the history of ethnic groups in our region, the history of the arts, including music, art, theater, and dance. We have many records of business and industry and labor unions. There are church records and religious history spanning nearly all of Dayton's historic churches, as well as records from civic organizations. We also collect and preserve hundreds of personal and family papers. Some names would be familiar, such as the Kettering family and the Patterson family, but others may not be as recognizable, but definitely important in documenting the history of life in this area. One of the largest additions to our holdings came in 2008 when the Dayton Daily News Archive, or Photomorgue as it is called, became a part of our holdings. This collection measures over 2,000 linear feet and contains hundreds of thousands of original photographs and news clippings documenting the history of the city and region. It connects our local history to the state and nation and the world through stories and images spanning nearly a century of Dayton's history. The Archives continues to host a wide variety of events, such as the Living Legends of the Dayton Daily News event. This past year, we honored sports reporter Hal McCoy with a special event and exhibit. In past years, we have honored Dale Huffman, Tom Archdeacon, D.L. Stewart, Laura Bischoff, and Ty Greenlees. We host author lectures and Friends of the Libraries workshops as well. In October, we hosted Harry Haskell, who recently authored a book based on his grandfather and Catherine Wright's relationship and marriage. We hosted a night of ice stories with a lecture by Charles Gabringer, a local author and historian on Dayton hockey. We hosted a workshop in the archives entitled Passport to History, featuring collections highlighting international travel. We collaborate with organizations in the community on special events, such as the Engineers Club 100th anniversary and the Victoria Theater's 150th anniversary. We also are a National Aviation Heritage Alliance partner supporting the preservation and dissemination of the region's aviation history to the world. Special Collections is home to a collection of first editions of the works of Paul Laurence Dunbar, renowned poet and novelist from Dayton. These amazing first editions are signed by Dunbar, who had given each one to his friend and frequent patron, Dr. Henry Tobey. Dr. Tobey was a psychiatrist from Toledo who had great admiration for Dunbar's work. Henry Tobey's grandson, Mr. William Shepherd, inherited the first editions and in 1975 presented them to Special Collections and Archives to honor Paul Laurence Dunbar's legacy and his connection to Dayton. Today, Special Collections and Archives continues to honor that legacy with an extensive section of the Archives website dedicated to Dunbar's life and work. Special Collections and Archives is also the official archives for the history of Wright State University. All of the university's permanent historical records come to the archives for preservation. We provide research and records management services to all of Wright State's colleges, departments, administration, and offices. The university was actually founded as a branch campus of Miami University and The Ohio State University in 1964. We became an independent state university in 1967 and are celebrating our 50th year in 2017. We are currently building an extensive photo gallery from our university photo collection, so if you want to walk down the WSU memory lane, visit our website and click on 50th anniversary. You might think an archives is a very quiet and dusty place, but I can assure you that ours is very active and always growing and changing. We get a wide variety of reference requests from people researching architectural plans for their home or business to producers of documentaries. We have hosted several film crews from the United States, as well as China and Japan, and earlier this month, a crew from the Brazil History Channel. Family history researchers, urban historians, NASA experts, aviation historians and scholars, and young children working on History Day projects or other school projects all use our facility and services, and we are so glad that they do. Archives staff carry out a variety of functions to fulfill the Archives mission, including collecting, preservation, arrangement and description, cataloging, records management, and collaboration with donors and community organizations. A lot of work happens behind the scenes before collections are made available to the public. It takes a staff of trained professionals, student workers, and volunteers to help us be successful. Our outreach programs are extensive and include public programs, exhibits, tours, conferences, and lectures, and teacher workshops. The Special Collections and Archives Department designs and installs several exhibits each year in the library and in the community. We participate across campus and with other historical organizations to plan and host special events. Our collections have been featured through loans to the Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum, the Zeppelin Museum in Germany, at the Museum of Flight in Seattle, Washington, at the Royal Air Museum in Great Britain, and at the Paris Air Show. The Archives is also a learning laboratory for Wright State's graduate program in public history. This program trains students to enter the field of archives and museum studies. We mentor, advise, and direct numerous student capstone projects and host interns each year. The staff in Special Collections and Archives serve as adjunct faculty, teaching courses in public history, local history, archives administration, archival preservation, and records management. We also teach an undergraduate honors seminar on Dayton's aviation heritage. Special Collections and Archives has an easily accessible website with rich resources for all types of researchers, including K-12 students, college and university students, faculty, movie makers, authors, the news media, and the seasoned researcher. A vital part of our mission is to provide access to the rich collections in the archives, which makes the internet an invaluable tool. Special Collections and Archives works closely with the University Library's Digital Initiative and Repository Services Department to digitize our materials and make them available online through the campus online repository known as Core Scholar. Our department also has an active blog called Out of the Box, where we highlight our collections, history, and current activities and projects. We have another blog dedicated to the Dayton Daily News Archive where we spotlight stories from the newspaper, and we also have a Facebook page and use Twitter to get the word out of new, exciting things going on in the Wright State Archives. Requests for information and images from our holdings is increasing and numbering over 3,000 inquiries per year. The publication in 2015 of David McCullough's The Wright Brothers brought new attention to the Wright Brothers story. This resulted in even more attention to the archives and to the Wright Brothers collection. David and his research assistant, Mike Hill, spent several days in our reading room researching and selecting images for the book. Last year at this time, I told you about David McCullough and Tom Hanks' visit to campus in their time in Special Collections and Archives. Here, Dawn Dooley, the head of the archives, David McCullough, Tom Hanks, and Amanda Wright Lane, the great-grandniece of the Wright brothers, pose with the Wright brothers looking over their shoulders. We are excited about this high visibility of the Wright brothers collection because it puts a spotlight on all the collections documenting Dayton and the Miami Valley's history, as they are all important to understanding the spirit and history of innovation that is so prominent in this area. Tom Hanks came to campus to dedicate the new Tom Hanks Center for Motion Pictures, which is located right next to the library in a very blue building. Hanks and McCullough spent 2 days in Dayton and visited the archives and other historical sites to learn more about the Wright story and the context in which it formed, past, present, and future. Hanks has purchased the rights to McCullough's book and is filming an HBO miniseries on the Wright story, which we'll be anxious to see. Here you see in the Wright Brothers room in the archives, from left to right is Tom's producer from Playtone Film Company, Tom Hanks, David McCullough, and the screenwriter for the movie. It was great fun and very interesting to listen to David tell Tom Hanks about the Wright story. Last week, we had another exciting visitor to the area, Eric Lindbergh, the grandson of Charles Lindbergh. Charles Lindbergh, of course, was the aviator who won world fame when he made the first solo transatlantic flight from New York to Paris in his single-engine Spirit of St. Louis in 1927. Eric Lindbergh came to the archives to peek at film, photos, and documents related to his famous grandfather. I highlight this visit because Eric Lindbergh, who also is heavily involved in the future of aviation, was incredibly excited about the collections in the archives. He gave us a wonderful quote, which all of our staff now have up in our offices. He said, "You just get to live in this history. It's extraordinary." Yes, indeed. We get to live in this history, and all of us get to live in it. The Wright State Archive's success in collecting, preserving, and providing access to Miami Valley history has created an urgent need for new space. The current 12,000 square foot location for the Dunbar Library will be expanded to over 30,000 square feet in the former Wright Pat Credit Union corporate building. The plan is to raise $8 million to complete the modernization work. The new space will provide the environment necessary to preserve the priceless collections, as well as greatly expand public place spaces. The new archives will welcome K-12 and university students and faculty, researchers and scholars locally and across the world, authors, filmmakers, and community groups. Included in the new space will be an exhibit gallery, expanded reading room, classrooms, preservation lab, digital services, and enlarged collection space. We are just beginning our active fundraising campaign for this project. To date, we've raised around $500,000 for this specific project. We have developed strong relationships with our alumni, friends, and corporations and foundations. We have great confidence that due to the community engagement and access offered by the Archives Center, we'll be successful in raising these funds through both public and private sources. The community need or issue to be addressed is threefold: increased and enhanced access to the archives for the community, campus, educators, students, researchers, filmmakers, journalists, and authors worldwide. The second community need is preservation of these priceless materials. We need to improve the environment for our holdings. Temperature, humidity, fire protection, security, air quality, and light conditions all affect our holdings. Relocating these treasures from their current inadequate space of 12,000 square feet to the new location with 30,000 square feet and appropriate environmental conditions is critically important. The third need is increased capability to provide community, individuals, and organizations assistance in the collection and preservation of their records and the dissemination of their history. The next few slides show renderings by the architect to give us an idea of the space. These are not actual, what it would actually look like, but the furnishings, they will be different. This is a view of the exhibit gallery. The new exhibit gallery will enable us to make many more of our treasures visible for the public to see. We also plan to do outdoor art exhibits and bring in items from museums across the country through loans. This space will incorporate traditional methods of displaying materials with new technology to engage visitors with much more from our collections than they have ever seen before. The reading room will have space and tables for research for a wide variety of formats, from photographs and documents to architectural drawings. The reading room will be versatile in its furnishings and arrangement to be able to use the space for special events as well. Our current reading room is small and cramped. The new space will allow us to better serve our patrons and visitors. Right now, when we have a class visit the archives or tours come through, we have to disrupt our researchers who are using the reading room at the same time. Most are very gracious about it, but it would be absolutely wonderful to have the gallery and a classroom to hold instruction or special meetings aside from interrupting the researchers. I know it is hard to see this drawing of plans for the new space, but let me briefly walk you through it. So there's an entryway here, and there's an exhibit gallery right here. So when people came in, you would have a welcome desk. Right now, this is an existing building, and Human Resources is on the top level. We would have, this is the main first floor, and we would also have the lower level. So you walk in, and you could go to the exhibit gallery and look through that, and then walk through doors to the reading room. This is the reading room desk, and then these are all shelving for the books and journals. These are tables. So that configuration is not set in stone, but just an idea. Behind the scenes here then, which would be staff only, is a processing room where we could spread out these collections that are 20, 40, 100 linear feet or more of materials and have room to actually process them, which means arrange and describe them and make a finding aid for them that we put online and make available to the public. Behind that would be a preservation lab, which we don't have at all right now. We have one space where we combine exhibit prep, preservation, and processing, which is probably about a quarter of the size of this room. Behind that is an exhibit prep area. And then at the back here is a loading dock, which would be absolutely wonderful to have. And then a clean room. There's some mechanical area here, but a clean room is where we would be able to go through the materials that come from a donation and make sure that there was nothing that could contaminate other materials, such as mold or an infestation of some sort. So we could make sure that that was clean before coming into our collection area. Back here are volunteer and student areas, and one of these rooms would be an oral history interview room. It would be soundproof. Right now we use what we call the Wright Brothers room, where we have meetings, we have some collections in there, and we also do oral histories in there. It's sort of an all-purpose room. Along here would be our offices and a conference room. And then here is oversize and collection storage. So we have lots of map cases for oversized materials, like the ones you'd see on display earlier today. Okay, so that is the first floor. This is the lower level. And here there's a classroom that others on campus would also be able to use. This whole area here is digital services for their scanning operation and metadata. And then all of this is compact movable shelving to maximize storage for our collections. Back here we have a specific area for film storage. So it would have HVAC that would accommodate the temperature and humidity specific for films. I'm going to go back to that earlier slide of the first floor. This one has a conference room, but also the secure collections. That was actually, that's an existing vault that the bank used, so it's perfect for our high value collections that need extra security. We are very excited about this project, by the way, and know it will take a few years, but these incredible collections deserve a home that is visible, has proper environmental controls, and encourages more interaction with the community. I hope you enjoyed learning more about special collections and archives at Wright State University and what we have been up to lately. I invite you to stop in anytime during our open hours. If you'd like to do research, look at exhibits, or explore various collections, or specifically the Inland Children's Chorus Collection, our desk is staffed during open hours, and all of us are happy to assist you, but I also have my business cards if you'd like to make an appointment, and would be happy to meet with you. I would also invite you to contact us if you would like to learn more about the new space. I brought brochures about the archives and left them on the table, and they have inserts about the building project. There's a web page on Right State's main page that talks about the project. Well, thank you for your attention, and I am excited about the singing.